The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this or any broadcast belong solely to our guests or our hosts. These broadcasts do not represent or reflect the views of their employers, sponsors, or affiliated organizations.
Welcome to the Flipboard EDU podcast with your host, William Jeffrey, where we collaborate, communicate, and educate with the greatest educators in the world on Flipboard. Let's start the show.
Welcome back, Flipboard fam. This is your favorite Coach Jeffrey, and I have two amazing guests here tonight. I have Mr. Arlen Bitsky and Sara Candela. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
Hi.
Arlen, I'm going to start with you, sir. Tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. Arlen Bitsky. I am product manager for Focusable, which you'll hear all about today. About 12 years of building products in the educational software space, and always down for a chat with Coach.
All right. Sara, welcome to the show. Tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Thanks for having us tonight. I'm Sara Candela. I was an English teacher, high school English teacher for about a little over 14 years. And now I am the community manager for Focusable, working alongside Arlen and learning how to gather educators around a new tool that we're really excited about.
Yes. So a little bit about y'all. I met you at ISTE. You came to the little happy hour that we had, and you guys had these shirts, Get Focusable. And I was like, man, what is Focusable? I want to make sure I get Focusable. So before I left, I was trying to make sure I got Focusable. And you all were instrumental in making sure that we got it. So let's talk about what is Focusable.
You want to start, Arlen?
Sure. So I think the story of Focusable begins really with the story of where we're at in America and the world. And I think Sara could talk a little bit about this problem that we're trying to solve, right? Because we can't just go out there and build cool stuff. We have to identify a problem, and we think we have.
Yeah. So Focusable is a tool that we have developed to, I don't want to say combat, but I guess kind of start to help us prepare ourselves against what we're seeing as like our common enemy. It's not something that is just a student problem. It is an everybody problem. And we're calling that enemy overstimulation. And if that's why Arlen's saying a problem of our world and a product of the time that we are living in, we think of, usually when we say overstimulation, people are nodding their head. Oh yeah, tell me about it. My kids can't keep their phones off their desks. I can't even give them instructions anymore. Or they're literally taking their laptop out and watching Breaking Bad in the middle of math. That I saw on Twitter the other day. Someone was talking about that. But it goes even beyond just the devices that they physically carry. And it's what happens when you are constantly stimulated by engaging media that pulls and divides your attention at all times of the day. And so a student could arrive to school in the morning and you don't even know how many hours of stimulating experiences has that, even if it's only 30 minutes, how many minutes or hours of stimulating experiences has that one kid already been engaged in before he steps foot into school? So he's arriving already setting himself up, and that's one person setting himself up to not be able to focus and not be able to pay attention and sit for experiences that are never going to reach that level of stimulation that they're getting on any device or from any piece of media. And so where we're coming from is we're thinking we're not going to find a solution that and we shouldn't really be looking for a solution that really banishes the actual physical device from all of our hands. Think of the scope of that nationwide. And so instead, how can we use what we have at the positive power that we know it can be and turn this into a way for us to actually harness the power of our attention and teach ourselves how to take breaks from those stimulating experiences and restore ourselves to a calm energy so that we can focus.
Man, I love that. Harnessing the power of your attention. And not only do we all listen, again, like I said, I wanted to get it before I left ISTE. I wanted to get Focusable. Harnessing your power of attention is something that is definitely against the grain from what we have learned for the last 20 years, because they said that in order for you to be efficient, you have to multitask. So Arlen, like, how does Focusable cut at the heart of the multitasking mindset?
Sure. I think the multitasking mindset comes directly from our overstimulated environment, right? That's the context we wake up in every day, and it is pervasive and it is here to stay. This is not just a COVID experience. And so I think in the face of kind of overstimulation all around us, what we're finding is what we need is basically good routines around meaningful rest. That is number one. We need to recharge. We need to feel good again before we can even think about deep focus. And so what we've come up with in Focusable is the fitness tracker for your mind. And it's a mobile app. It's a web app as well. And it basically helps to scaffold and build these routines that don't just lead to focus, but also to mental health. If we come back to the problem for a minute, we're talking about overstimulation all around us. It's an extremely complex problem, which means that it's not just getting in the way of our focus, it's getting in the way of our well-being, right? And when we talk about focus, we're not just talking about focusing on our math homework. We're talking about focusing on the things in life that make it meaningful, right? Focusing on your playing with the dogs makes the experience more meaningful. If you're not attending to it, if you're not in it, then you're not really experiencing it and you're not experiencing the joy from it. So we know that not all things are joyful. Some things are hard, but I think we can agree that a lot of what we do in schools is hard, but worth it. The first step is focus. But again, before we can even think about focus, we've got to recharge. We've got to get our heads right. So that's what we're running after in this initial Focusable experience. If I have a minute, maybe I'll take a look at what that looks like from the individual side, and then also from the kind of classroom side of things, and also answer any other questions that we have.
Do I need to share my screen?
I could speak to it. I don't know, whatever's most helpful, but why don't we just start with a conversation? Because it's more fun to just talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the individual experience for a minute. So basically you come into Focusable a few times a day and recharge, right? And this should happen in the cracks and crevices of your day. And when we talk about the individual experience, we're talking about students, we're talking about teachers, we're talking about admins, we're talking about anybody who lives in this overstimulated world. Now, the latest neuroscience research tells us that just 12 minutes a day of this kind of recharging experience where you're getting meaningful rest is all you need to have a huge difference on your life outcomes, right? And certainly a huge difference in your ability to focus. Once you build up these routines around good rest, what we're calling recharge, you can switch over because you're ready to focus, right? You can charge up and do some deep focus work. And if you struggle, we have the tools to help you better sustain your focus.
Now, hold on, my brother. You said deep rest. What's that? What does that look like? Deep rest.
I think the kind of broad term that we're talking about, really, rather than rest, because I know I think of just like sleeping or napping or whatever, but I think the broad term that we're really talking about is mindfulness. And Sarah's done a great deal of diving into the mindfulness research. So if you want to add anything there, what do we need? What do we mean?
Yeah, we are talking about a deeper rest is a little bit different than when we're making the choice to have mindful breaks throughout a day, throughout a given period of time. So a deeper rest would be the kind of rest that we need to restore our energy on a level that is going to bring us back up to feeling the closest to normal we can feel, or our brains being the closest to rested and restored and normal as we can feel in a world where we have to make it an effort, really, which is why it is a deeper rest, an effort to get away from the experiences that divide our attention or pull us into constantly needing to engage with something or think that we can do multiple things at once. And even just the phrase, the split of attention, makes it sound like maybe something we should aspire to. Should we want our attention to go in 5 places at once? Obviously not. And all of these things deplete our energy to the point where I actually experienced this past weekend. I had to completely deactivate myself. And what happens is not only can't you focus as well as you can when you are restored to full energy, but you really can't make decisions well. You can't show up for your relationships fully or as yourself. You can't really do things that require a higher level of cognitive energy and attention. And so that deeper rest is required from us every once in a while. Sometimes it's like it's the reason why you make it a habit to go to bed earlier. Even that rest is part of the restoration. But when we think about how we're building these ideas into the concepts behind Focusable, we're taking that rest idea and we're breaking it down into how can we take that pervasive energy that comes from overstimulation, which is everywhere, and again, I'm going to use that word again, harness it into the crevices of our day in a positive way. So instead of overstimulation just taking over our lives, or those activities that overstimulate us taking over our lives, can we turn it around and say, guess what? I'm going to fight back, and I'm going to take that positive energy. And I know I have the power to say, okay, it's time for me to take a break, and I'm going to do a restorative activity I'm going to do some breathing. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to move my body in a way that's going to break up my day and help me when I get back to work or get back to learning, be able to focus and show up for myself and others in a better, more meaningful way.
Wow. Listen, I am sitting here learning like you would not believe. I used to work with a coworker. His name was Coach Garcia. And when I worked in HISD, we all coached football together. And at that particular point, was the start of my career, he had not taken a day off in 28 years. He had worked consecutive days and for 28 years. And so as you're talking about mindfulness and showing up with rest, in that generation, it was you show up. If you have a duty, you do it. And I remember him telling the story about when his child was born, his first kid was born. He was coaching a football game. His wife went into labor. His wife was like, you got to hurry up and get here. So he got there just at the point when his baby was born. He held it, kissed it, and then went back to the football game. So this is the type of mindset that we are actually trying to break into. And how are teachers and schools I know, see, the problem is you hit a niche, and so everybody wants some of this now. So how are people experiencing this now? Like, what are they saying that this will do for them?
So it's super early, Coach. We just launched not yet a few weeks ago, but I think there's so much power in bringing it to school, not only at the individual level, but creating groups of focusable people. Let's go back to our main message for a moment, which is that everyone is focusable, right? Focus is a skill that can be built. And sure, you might need some scaffolding, but wouldn't it be cool if everybody, including the teacher themselves, builds their focus, builds their skills together? And so as we make our way into the classroom, into school districts, what I think people are receiving well so far is this idea of creating encouraging communities around people's process and around developing the skill of focus. And I think that's a really powerful thing, because while a lot of the Focusable experience is geared towards the individual experience, we're creating an environment, we think, and it's still early, where you're not alone, where you realize it takes a lot of hard work to get there, and everybody's at different levels. But it's not about what you're producing. It's about basically that you're working on the right things. And what we stand for is that working on your focus just applies to anything that you're trying to do, whether it's sports or homework. And
a teacher that we heard from today actually has been using the latest version of Focusable with a group of students for about 2 weeks now, I think. And they're using it for deep extended read activities to help them set their own pace and time. And then in the process of that, realize when they need to take a break, because they do want to go a little bit longer, but they want to just rest for a second and then jump back into it. And using the reflection pieces within Focus is really helping her, the teacher, to see how they are building confidence in their reflective practices as well, which I think is really helpful in having students really grow in that meta awareness of what it is that distracts them, what it is that makes them feel stressed or anxious, but at the same time, that they can build the confidence and awareness in what it is that makes them also go forward and progress into a more focusable state. And I think seeing that with young kids, I think this is an 8th grade group of students, and seeing that that kind of feedback come in from using it with young kids is, I think, really promising and shows us that I think we're onto something in thinking that this is what people need, is just a space for this reflection and for making sure that we realize how important taking those breaks are.
Man, the implications from what I can see spans all the way from kindergarten, in my opinion, all the way up past graduate school. If we're talking about
Oh,
in
definitely.
schools, because this is my thing. And I had a little bit of experience with it, as I told the story off camera, off air, was that I had a student in my office and I was maintaining a graduation plan for the student, going through figuring out ways that we can help this student be successful. And I showed them the product of Focusable, and they were excited because from the first iteration of what we had talked about was, I was like, look, this is going to be your mindful break, and you're going to break it down, almost using like a Pordomo task for her. But I asked her to do some reflections on why and how she felt during the things that she was accomplishing and chunking her assignments. And there is a little bit of information in there. I could tell that when she left, she at least went back to it. And so that mindful state of, and when I have to meet with this person again, but as I meet with her, I'm going to have her to go through those reflective processes, because we want everybody to be able to focus. That is the best type of employee, somebody you can give a task to that they can complete it and do it. Look, I'm sorry, I'm selling your product. I'm just saying, like, that right
Go
there.
right ahead. You're doing the work for us.
That is what everybody wants. You want kids to be successful in the classroom. You want teachers to be successful. You want people to be productive at work. Yeah, I love it. I'm sorry, Arlen. You said it was some dads that saw it randomly and was trying to download it too.
For sure. Like, basically, if we all agree that we basically live in a super overstimulating world, that everybody has this problem, not just students, but teachers and admins and principals and football coaches. And so what we're seeing is that problem resonating, and people are looking for solutions. And what we're finding out there is that many times the solution is, if only I could make that math assignment just a little bit more engaging. But what we think is, that's besides the point. Let's start with recharging. Let's get our minds right and primed for focus. And then let's focus, which is hard, but we're going to help you do that. Just at those moments where you feel, boy, this is too hard, or I'm super anxious, we're going to give you this growing library of tools to pull you back into focus, to beat distraction, to beat overstimulation. And Sarah said something really interesting about the way it could work in a classroom, right? You create a private group, you pull your kids in, and you have this wonderful community of kids encouraging each other to work on the skill of focus and to get meaningful rest, right? Not the kind of rest where you sit at home and scroll through TikTok, but rather the kind of rest that actually basically primes you for focus, for really good focus. Yeah. And I think what one crazy piece of this is, the more you practice focusing, the better you are. Now, for sure, we're building tools to make that process easier. The first step is to make sure that you're spending the time on trying to get better at focus. And that's why our new experience is centered around spending time on the right things. And so you asked me about the classroom use case. Let's talk about the teacher use case. What can a teacher log in and find? What can, in fact, an admin log in and find? And what we're building now is basically better insights for teachers and admins. A teacher can come in on a daily basis and understand, how did kids spend their time? Are they properly charged? Is it even worth going through this super tricky assignment that I was going to assign them tonight? Or are they just depleted? Do they need some recharging? And so we're going to build out more and more insights into how kids are spending their time, how they're practicing, and also surely a reflective practice as your student is working on. Now, so that's number one, a community of kids working on the right things. Number two, insights for admins and teachers to understand how kids are spending their time. And then for sure, on a case-by-case basis, we want to give teachers tools to dive in even deeper, right? Engage with how kids are setting goals or reflecting on how they are progressing, right? We know that teachers don't have all day and all night to engage in all of their kids' stuff, but we do want to give you the tools when the moment is right. So you can come to understand the details of moment to moment. Are kids engaging in a breathing exercise, right? Or are they spending all night just trying to charge away and do their homework and focus? right? So we think it's super interesting to figure out how we can deliver more and more insights at the teacher level, at the admin level, and for sure at the individual level, right? Because Sara mentioned this meta awareness piece. You can only get better if you know what's working and what's not working. And our stats dashboard is going to help kids understand how are they spending their time and how should they spend their time. And just to go back to that number one goal, 12 minutes makes all the difference in the world. 12 minutes of meeting, recharging time. And that's the message that we want kids to go home with. It only takes a few minutes, but the benefits will be there.
Wow. 12 minutes. And now I will be recharged.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
We think so.
Wow. Do you know? And I've been listen. I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to try that. I am going to get a group of students together and we're going to watch. You'll see. That is amazing. That is just amazing. I'm sorry. I'm flabbergasted. Forgive me. That's great news. I'm very glad that you guys hit that. You started off with the classroom product and then it's evolving into something that's better. Like you said, it's the human enemy of just unattentive focus. That's so good. Man, you guys are so smart. All right. So Sara, is there anything that I didn't ask you about Focusable that you would like to share?
I don't think there's anything major that we've left unsaid, except I was going to, if I can do it, I was going to paint a picture of just quickly of the process of something that Arlen was just articulating. But while he was talking, I did get a clearer mental picture of what that cycle looks like in a student's day, or actually in any human's day. Where I was saying before, like, you don't know how many hours or what a kid's doing before school, or is he up late at night playing games and then never really resting. But just think of it, it doesn't even have to be a student, like it could be yourself. Think of a day, and if you get distracted by something that is engaging and stimulating, or multiple things for even an hour that day, and it's a busy day and you were looking for distraction because you don't want to focus on something, and because you didn't do what you really knew you needed to between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., you're now telling yourself you have to stay up between 9 p.m. and midnight doing the things that you wanted to do earlier, but you disappointed yourself. And now it becomes 9 p.m. and you're still distracted. And you're like, now I don't want to do that again. Imagine that scenario happens to all of us all the time. And then put all of the distractions in there that we're carrying around in our pockets and put yourself in a seventh grader's shoes. And the rest, it's really hard to get to that point where you feel like you can just stop and allow yourself a break, because you're always trying to catch up and you find yourself in that loop. And so we're trying to help people put an end to that looping. And I think that it's going to be really important as we move forward into the next phase of education, which is really going to be us living in the world of AI, as we're starting to see. So we're going to have to figure out how to focus better than ever.
Man, surely. Arlen, where can our listening audience find you at, sir, on social media?
Okay. Everybody can find us at getfocusable.com. We are also on Twitter at getfocusable. That's our handle.
And Instagram.
And you can find us in the App Store too. We have an Android app and an iOS app. Works great on iPads as well. And just to prove a point, we're asking kids, adults, really anybody to put in those 12 minutes a day, because your focus will improve. Your mental health will improve. If we spend time on the right things, spend time recharging, the rest will come. And I'll just show you in just a few clicks how simple this is. So I've got our app up. I'm going to start a new progression. It's set by default at 5 minutes, right? I'm going to start my 5-minute countdown and put in just 5 minutes of good, solid rest. And then it's perfectly acceptable to do nothing, right? As long as I'm not involved in super engaging, overstimulating experiences like watching Netflix or scrolling TikTok, doing nothing works. But if you are clueless and you need some guidance as to how to spend that time meaningfully, we have this growing library of tools at the bottom, like a progressive muscle relaxation exercise, right? Clinically proven not only to relax you, but also to lower blood pressure, right? These are time-tested, science-backed tools to help you reset your mind and body. So it's all just a click away. Again, put in the 12 minutes a day and the focus will come.
Arlen, man, that's amazing. You know what? I feel like we need to go to QVC and just put it on.
Arlen on your TV at late night.
Yeah, Arlen. You'd be like, yeah, I need that. Sarah, where can our listening audience find you at?
You can find me, also running a lot of Focusable's Twitter, as Arlen was mentioning before, but you can find me at Candela9, which is just S Candela and the number 9 on Twitter, a name that was actually given to me by a student, 12th grader, a few years back, who used to call me Scandala down the hallway. And so I made that my Twitter handle. That is where I spend a lot of my time. And yeah, I think that's it.
Gotcha. Also, too, you have a newsletter, The Optimist.
Yes, I was actually wondering if I should mention that, but The Optimalist is what our newsletter is called. So with it, which is where we do a lot of writing, exploring the ideas that we've talked about today in this episode that are all kind of background to how we've built and how we are continuing to build Focusable. And it's a lot of theory and then science and things that we're thinking about, but it's really a community newsletter, and Optimalist community is what we call the educators that come together to talk about these ideas and work on this stuff with us. And it is The Optimalist. And I don't even know if I can, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to read that out loud, but you can subscribe. You can subscribe by just going to theoptimalist.substack.com, but I'm sure I can give you that to put in show notes or something like that.
Most definitely. It could be in our show notes, and it will be in the article that we write. Cool. So I want to thank you both for coming on the show. I think this is a great time. I have used your product. I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's very beneficial, whether it be early stages or late stages. It's a great tool. And I think there is a lot of, you guys are going to take off. This is a good thing.
Thanks so much for having us. And it's fun. It's always fun talking about what we're working on, especially as it changes and we have to evolve our thinking along with the product. And so it's fun to do that out loud.
Yeah.
I'm obligated to say that we're just getting started. Right? You and we know that we have a lot of people to come. But we think we're on the right track, and we look forward to helping lots of teachers and kids.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Flipboard EDU Podcast. Episode 83. Unleashing the Power of Curation with Mia Quagliarello. Mia Quagliarello, Flipboard's head of creator community, is an advocate for creative people and loves nothing more than helping them find audiences and inspiration. On her podcast, The Art of Curation, and in her Substack interviews, she celebrates and discusses the importance of human taste in a tech-driven world. She believes that even smaller creators can make an impact by tapping into Flipboard's community and ecosystem. We also discuss Flipboard's recent leap into the Fediverse with its own Mastodon instance. Mastodon is a decentralized open-source social media platform that's gaining popularity as many look for a Twitter alternative. This endeavor offers curators another channel to broaden their reach, ensuring that their effort gets seen by as many eyes as possible. In this episode, we outline ways content creators and curators can create an experience entirely unique to their communities on Flipboard. We also introduce the new creator programs and reveal how listeners who make content can get involved. So, like we always do at this time, let's collaborate, communicate, and educate with the best educators in the world right here on the Flipboard EDU Podcast.
Welcome back, Flipboard fam. This is your favorite coach, Coach Jeffrey, and I am excited to be an ISTE ambassador for 2023. ISTE is the world's leading organization dedicated to improving the teaching and learning of educators and students through the use of technology. As an ambassador, I will have the opportunity to share my passion for technology with educators from around the world. I will also have the opportunity to learn from other educators like yourself and collaborate on innovative projects. I am confident that this experience will help me become a better educator and make a positive impact on the lives of my own students. I would like to send a huge congratulations to the other ISTE ambassadors, Tice and Roberta Bento, the E-twins, Mario and Alberto, Jorge Valenzuela, Jason Trin, Martha Boniarno, Nate Lyons, Matt Miller, and Dr. Jennifer Miller. So like we always do at this time, let's collaborate, communicate, and educate with the best educators in the world right here on Flipboard EDU Podcast. Flipboard fam, thanks for sticking with me on this episode. I want to thank Arlen Bitsky and Sara Candela for speaking with us about Focusable. I want to give a huge shout out to Crystal Vanderboom and Aileen Laylor for their edits on the Flipboard Educators blog. Speaking of shout outs, I'd like to give a huge shout out to All Things Marketing and Education with Elena Leone, My EdTech Life with Fonz Mendoza, and Education Unleashed with Mr. Kendrick Thomas. Also, can't forget my main man, Dr. Dan Cranks, the leader of learning. You need to check out those podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, don't forget to subscribe to the Flipboard EDU Podcast magazine and the Art of Curation by Mia Quadrulo. That is the Flipboards podcast. Remember, our podcast is available globally and everywhere you listen to podcasts. So until next time, family, every story has a plus.